What's up, everybody? It's Joshua Thomas. I cannot imagine the diversity among everybody, so how everybody's doing right now. But what I can do is thank you so much for being with me tonight, because togetherness is so important and uplifting in this time more than any. So, with that being said, again, can't thank you enough for being with me. Let's talk some comedy. This is Creating Comedy. I'm Joshua Thomas, and let's do it. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Hello, everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining me. Blue Dragon, Princess, I think it's Diana, Makeda's World. What's up, everybody? Alina, Dominguez, Luisa. Thank you so much for being here, guys. This is Creating Comedy, a weekly show here on Just Giggle It, where we talk about the sketches of old, the heyday of JGI, if you will. And you do that each week with me, Joshua Thomas. We weren't here last week. I don't think I need to kind of reiterate how much is going on in the world right now. But needless to say, there's more than enough to deal with on everybody's plate, and more than enough to keep your attention all day long. So, again, thank you for being here. So we didn't have a show last Friday. There was obviously, just to say it, the murder of George Floyd. All of the protests that were going on and starting up right as this was all happening. I had just kind of seen all that and processing it. We're still all processing it and doing what we can to help. We're not going to get too much into it here, but if you would like to help and don't know how, you can go to the Just Giggle It Instagram, and in our description, there is an easy link there that has petitions and GoFundMes and anything you can do to help. So I just want to throw that out there to anybody, because in case you're wondering what our stance here at Just Giggle It is Black Lives Matter. So with that all being said, let's get into the show here. I love all of you guys. I have been looking forward to talking to you all because, again, what a head trip we've been going through, right? Dealing with America, dealing with the world, dealing with pandemics, dealing with racism. So we're right back here. Tiki, what's up, buddy? You're asking me about Clubhouse games. I already bought it today, actually. I'm loving everything I'm seeing in that game so far. I've only sampled a handful of games. It's so great. Thank you. Hello, Gabe. Hello, Justin. What's up, guys? All right, so let's get started. Before we get into Creating Comedy, we're going to talk a little bit about Just Giggle It at Home, because JGI at Home, the brand new episode, it's this way, is coming on Monday. If you guys are ready or not, I would love to hear your opinions. Are you all ready for some new comedy? Do you want new content in your lives? Are you ready for the next episode of Just Giggle It at Home? It is another jam-packed episode of all new content, everybody. So please let me know in the chat if you are excited about that. We didn't get a chance to come on and talk to you guys after the second episode, but we were so excited and over the moon at the response that got, and how everybody was just digging all the new content and raving about the quality of it, and oh my goodness, it was so amazing. Clubhouse Games is my new Animal Crossing, Tiki says. It's pretty great. Yes, we are. You're excited about episode 3. Amazing. The polls are up right now. Jenny is the new favorite, in case you guys were wondering. Katie, not going to say took her shot and missed, but, she was 2 weeks in a row. She was the clear-cut winner of, we want Katie's sketch, and, people enjoyed it, but now Jenny is just really pulling through ahead right now. So that's going to be super exciting. We cannot wait for Monday. Again, we have a brand new opening for you guys, which I'm so excited. I caught if you guys are not already listening, Blue Dragon 5, and So You Want to Be an Imagineer, every week on Tuesdays, they do the Just Giggle It grab bag. So if you're a Just Giggle It nerd and are super into all the sketches, and maybe you're like, oh, I can't catch up with all of those. Right now, they're covering all the stuff on Just Giggle It at home. So you're caught up, and you can let them know maybe what sketch you want them to do next, because now they have a whole slew of new ones to choose from. Katie threw away her shot. You damn right she did. You damn right. Oh, Katie in the openings. It's the thorn in my side, that Katie Garland. I tell ya. But we have some big surprises for you in this next episode, so we're really excited to show you guys that. So make sure you're there on Monday in the chat with the whole cast and party with us, because it's always a good time. And again, right now we need to be together, so it'll be fun. All right, so to move on to what we're going to do is talk about, let me see, I got my cards today, guys. I'm prepped. When you take a week off, you can write things on paper. So, troubling decisions is what we're going to talk about first. That's the first sketch. So we're going to do things a little differently this week, guys. I dropped, since we didn't do a live stream last week, I threw up the sketches of what we're going to be covering this week, and what that is troubling decisions and the social notwork. So to talk about that, and please guys, make this as interactive as you want. What we're going to be doing today, like I said, a little differently. I'm not going to be watching it full screen, full blast. Hopefully you guys got a chance to do so last time. We're going to be kind of going stop-start and talking little tidbits about the sketches and really kind of getting into the nitty-gritty this week of what these sketches are about and what comedy was created, if that makes sense. So let's see here. We can go to here, and we're going to start off with Troubling Decisions, which came out on October 7th, 2013. Insanity. That it was that long ago. The fun facts about this sketch is it's Sagar Sheikh's first sketch as a leading man. And this kind of started the pairing. There was many sketches that we ended up doing with Sagar and Alex. So let's go ahead and get started. And yes, Blue Dragon, I see you just chatted. Just talk about the score and the sound design. I'd love to talk about that. So this was written and directed by me and also edited, and it stars, like I said, Sagar Sheikh, Piper Hinson, Alex Poncio. And this was actually shot right after Jackie. So there's a fun fact for you all. So let's get into it. Let's start it up.
I guess I'll go.
Okay, so immediately, I'm going to stop right there. So talking about the sound design a little bit. I know we're only 15 seconds in. Hopefully, like I said, you watched these already, because we're going to do these a little differently. So right off the bat, in case you're wondering if I Foleyed any of that, that was all natural, like getting the actual pop, picking that up on the mic of the treble, and getting those sound effects to just use naturally. Anytime you can use natural sound effects is always going to be better than having to hunt down a Foley later. This is the way I look at it, is you can always sweeten it with sound effects later, but it's always going to be better to start with that base of that. The song, right off the bat, is I wanted to kind of start with that mood of it's a fun little game night. We're having a good time. So there we go. And also what I wanted to point out is you already saw in those quick shots that he has a decision to make. He can either jump, and you can see it right here on the board right now. He can either jump red or green, and it's right there on your bottom right of the screen right there. So here we go. So starting it off as happy-go-lucky as possible, because I knew I was going to turn it on its head very shortly.
I guess one of y'all is going back to start.
Babe, I'm your wife.
Yeah, you're right.
Piper playing
John,
yet another person's
I'm
mate.
your best friend. I've known you much longer than said wife.
It's just a game, babe.
John, if you send me back to start, you're gonna have to sleep on the couch tonight.
And right there, that's still the same song, slowed down, starting to get a little weird. Then the thunder, the sound effects. It's just,
I'll give away the tickets to the
this
game.
was early in the day, so I didn't have a groove. I was kind of just trying to put out there what I
sex for a month.
wanted, and I really wanted to emphasize these things. Like, I was tired of seeing these talking head sketches, and that's what this is. This is a talking head sketch, meaning camera's just panning to what they're saying. Obviously, there's a game going on, but
If you send me back to
the
start,
sound effects, the music, it all adds
no
little
longer
punches,
friends.
you know, every time
serious,
that it's
buddy.
cutting to them.
And by buddy, I mean we're no longer friends anymore.
Why are y'all doing this?
If you send me back to start,
This was one of Alex's,
I would
like, after,
divorce you.
we're going to talk about
John,
Social Notwork, but let me
you
pause
said-
again here to get into this on Alex here, on this intense face of his. He is so young here. It's crazy to look at. I love it. But yeah, I think this was one of Alex's first performances as well in the group. So, because we shot Social Notwork, which he was in, but then he went away because he wasn't a part of the team technically. Like, we shot several days after Social Notwork because he wasn't going to be part of the group. He was just kind of doing me a favor, which I'll get into shortly. But this was also him coming back. This was the first weekend that he shot with us officially as a Just Giggle It member. And the first thing I think he did was the hashtag Just Giggle It, which were those promos. And that was the same weekend as this. And this is kind of what we ended the weekend on with Alex and Sagar and Piper. So we shot Breast Fun that weekend, all of the promos that weekend, Jackie that weekend, and Troubling Decisions. So again, in the beginning, we shot a ton. So that's kind of where we were at here. Alex is about to go off here. And this was like, I had seen Alex do improv. And this was very early on where I'm starting to be like, oh man, this guy can get it. D'Onofrio, as the boys like to say. Whoa, Joker!
Well, looks like everything's falling apart here, huh?
Okay. All right, let's get back into it.
Send me back to start, I will kill myself.
Guys, this is...
You send
Okay, let's
Doing this.
back up a
buddy,
bit here.
I mean we're no longer friends anymore.
So this is
I'm
a great
serious,
turn.
buddy.
This is like the early on Alex
We are
comedy.
no John, if you send me back to start, we are no longer friends. And I'm serious, buddy. And by buddy, I mean we're no longer friends anymore.
Why are y'all doing this?
So quick pause in the music to punch that joke. You'll notice that, you know, that's in all sketches. Not just
will
Just Giggle
divorce
It,
you.
but
John,
that's another tool. There's
You
so
send
many
me back to
little
start,
tools and tricks
I
you
will
can
kill
use.
myself.
Intense.
Guys, this is just a game of trouble.
Cranking it up.
you will never see your son again.
Piper,
I will
just
take full
the chops. I
custody.
remember I was like, whoa, Piper, where's this coming from, baby? Out of nowhere pops. Whoa. Joker's gone, guys. The mundanity is always, when you amplify the mundane,
Goodbye, John.
that's just a recipe for comedy. And here we are.
Oh my God, John! Oh, Jesus! Oh my God! Oh my God!
My biggest regret of this sketch is not having blood splattered on the wall. Obviously, we're shooting in my apartment. And again, this was the last sketch of a long weekend. So it was literally one of those decisions of, no, I don't want to clean that afterwards. Yeah, just do the gunshot wound on his forehead. So I apologize about that, guys. Maybe if we had shot it earlier in the weekend, there would be a splatter on the wall. But yeah, that's my biggest regret of this. And we're prepping for Mark Sipka with makeup abs, everybody. Here we go.
Oh my God, John!
I was just joking. You were joking, right?
Oh, I'm just playing. Oh my God, John! Oh no! No!
Oh man, did you guys skip my turn?
No, John!
Grab that Modelo, Mark. Just scoot out of there. Just scoot out of there. Holding it. Look at that. Like, nobody reacted to Mark. There's just little ways that you can play these things. And this was very early on of me trying to kind of get my style of what I wanted. We were very dark, obviously. Oh my God. Why is Sipka shirtless? That's a great question. I'm fixing the Joker, guys. Sorry, 1 second here. There we go. Boom, baby. Okay. I hope that stays up, because now we're showing it. That Joker's going to fall. You know it. All right, so why is Mark shirtless? There's a lot to unpack here, and I'm glad to do it this way. Please let me know, guys, if you kind of like this way of doing it, where we're just kind of breaking down the sketch. Blue Dragon, you suggested this a couple weeks back, but kind of finally figured out how it's capable of doing that with the software I'm using, because I do not use StreamYard. I'm tampering with it, but I don't know how to get like files directly from my computer. I only know how to like watch browser links. Anyway, that being said, if you guys are enjoying the way we're doing creating comedy this week, of breaking down the sketches, kind of starting through them, because you've had a chance to watch them, I know you guys are the hardcore of hardcore fans, so let me know. I would love to know what you're thinking on that. So, to break down Troubling Decisions, Sagar's first sketch. Alex's first real sketch back and officially with the group. Piper turning it up, and this was like kind of my chance, because anything I was acting in early on, I had Mal Smith direct usually, or Yuka. And so this was like, I had written Jackie, I had written Breast Fun, and I had Mal direct both of those. And so I was kind of like, I'd already done Watching You at this point. Cheap plug. It's a great web series. If you haven't checked that out, it's on Just Giggle It. If you like Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World, Joker, where is it? Here it is. Then you will probably like Watching You, because I wrote and directed both of those shows, so the writing and directing has a similar vibe to it. Let me see here. Okay, so we had just shot Jackie, so Mark was still hanging around. I don't know why. I think it was because he was just bored. He was there with the makeup artist, and he just had her paint on abs and then once I saw what they did, I was like, well, if you took the time to be silly and do these paint on abs, we're going to show them. So it was literally just, and again, that's a quick thing in Troubling Decisions. If you want to go back in the beginning of the sketch, you will see that there are 4 places set up from the get-go. So that's kind of there from the start. It's always like, I always say, like, it's not about, like, who's watching it right now. It's about who's going to watch it later. And even the fact, anybody who goes back through this, so, like, you watch it the first time, you might have missed it. You watch it on the second time, you're like, oh, shit, it was set up the whole time. And that's just so satisfying that you're not insulting the audience's intelligence, that you're putting those little Easter eggs, those little hints for them to potentially have caught on. Like, hey, where's the 4th player? And those comments always exist on YouTube anyway. So, let me see here. I like the Ebert stop and start approach personally. That's just me. Thank you, Blue Dragon. Tiki also agreeing. You guys hold lots of weight as far as opinions on these things, so thank you so much. Will I cover Watching You as the original pilot or episodically? I haven't decided how to do that. I definitely will say I would love to talk to... I hope that you guys enjoy when those things happen to me, because it seems like it happens on every stream. God almighty. Let's see here. Why don't I just drill into the wall? Okay. All right. So, if there's any other questions on Troubling Decisions, then please let me know. Otherwise, we're probably going to bounce on to the next one, which is a huge one. The Social Notwork. Obviously, I forgot to write the, and then I didn't care too much, so it's scribbled on there. Hashtag perfect stream. Hey, at least you guys can hear me this time, right? There's that. Okay? I know that there's very many times that you guys, I'm doing this to you all. So I'm glad that that hasn't happened yet. All right, take a sip. JustGiggleIt.com. Make sure you're getting your sweet, sweet merch, babies. Okay, let's move on to The Social Notwork. The Social Notwork was released, obviously, the week after we were on weekly releases. So this was on October 14th. Again, 2013. Crazy. Let's see here. So before we get into it, great question from Blue Dragon to start off, which is why was The Social Notwork shot first? Yes, thank you. You can hear me? Good God almighty. So The Social Notwork was... Hey, Darkside, what's going on? What's going on? Hello, everybody who's joining in the chat. If you're just joining, just to recap what this is all about is talking about old sketches and kind of breaking down what the comedy within them is on our channel. We're talking about the 10th sketch in the Just Giggle It library, which is technically really a short film. Okay, so I'm trying to think of why we shot this first. I don't know if there was any sort of insistence on it, but basically, I think everybody loved it. At the time, it incorporated a lot of different casts. Like, we could have more people in it because it kind of had like a bigger cast than some of the other ones that were more two-person focused. We didn't really know what we were getting into when we first started. Again, we didn't have the name Just Giggle It. We didn't have anything. We were just like, oh, let's get together and shoot something. So I wrote The Social Notwork with my roommates, who I live with technically now. He's in Texas right now, but he, at the time in the early days, it was the Texas crew here in California, which was myself and Sagar, Carrie Farrow, who was another person on Just Giggle It. He was him in the Powerpuff Girls trailer, Carrie Farrow. And then Ryan, who you'll see in Social Notwork, and Alex Poncio. And so all five of us lived together, and we were making content together when we were all going through improv classes, and I started at UCB. And so we all did UCB together, the five of us in the house, in level 1. And then we were kind of like, okay, for the next level, like level 2, let's kind of branch off and do our own thing. And then that's when I did level 2 and met Piper and started Just Giggle It. And so I say all that because we were making stuff as an apartment together. So that's why this kind of was that way. I was not even supposed to be acting in this. If you'll notice, the character's name is Jerry Farrow, because I was writing this for Carrie Farrow to play. And then it was supposed to be Sagar and... Oh, actually, I was supposed to play Alex Poncio's role. That's what it was. I apologize for that memory lapse. So I was writing myself as Alex's role, Rob, and then Carrie Farrow was supposed to play Jerry Farrow, and then Sagar was going to be in it, and then Ryan, who was co-writing it with me, was going to be in it as well. And unfortunately, there would have been no Alex Poncio in this. Because again, he was... big time. He had just done Grown Ups 2. He was like auditioning for major stuff at that time, very early days. So it wasn't that we were like, oh, Alex is too big, but we were like, he's busy. He's legit auditioning for stuff. And maybe he doesn't want to do this little internet comedy because he was doing the little apartment comedy, but this was a bigger scale and maybe he didn't want to dedicate that time to it. All right, so here we are. Now we're making Social Notwork first. Me and Ryan write it together. I think the way we did it, we came up with the concept, and then we took turns on scenes. I think the biggest scene that Ryan wrote was the scene between me and the banker. That was his scene. And I kind of took the ending and the beginning, and we kind of collaborated on it all. So all of us came from Texas. Sagar, Alex Poncio, myself, Carrie Farrow, and Ryan. All of us moved from Texas. We didn't really know each other too well, all of us, just vaguely, but we all moved in together out here in California. That's a ton of backstory. Let's get into this sketch. Hope you're still with me. This is The Social Notwork. It's going to start off. What ended up happening is Carrie Farrow booked some, I think, a Scientologist commercial or something. He booked some weird thing that he couldn't shoot this sketch, and so I stepped in as Jerry Farrow, and Alex graciously stepped in as Rob, and the rest is history. Let's get into this. This was basically our apartment. We shot it at a house, but the cast is our apartment.
I got 100 likes on Instagram on this one picture.
Nice. Is it the enchilada one?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up? Hey.
Rob.
Okay, so I want to stop and point out a couple things right off the bat. Again, just 20 seconds in. I love that we're referencing Instagram in 2013, very early on. Sagar ahead of his time. So you want to be an Imagineer? Ask me about the Social Network movie. I think the Social Network is a phenomenal film. I loved it. I've only seen it twice. And it's been a long time. I watched it like twice very early on in its day. And yeah, it was this was more just commentary on social media with Facebook in general. And so the Social Network, obviously, we stole the title, but it was not in any way like a parody of the movie or creating Facebook or anything like that. That was, yeah, so very much more stole the title. It sounded catchy, which obviously didn't help. So, you know. Hello, Fago Rain. Drive safe. All right, let's keep going. Mentioning Instagram, all that was improv at the very top. So again, Sagar ahead of his time. We're shooting at Yuka's rental house or something. And you know what that was. Here we go.
I proposed to Alex last night. And she said yes. Yeah! Congrats, man.
Sagar's little woo.
I'm glad I could still make it.
I want to back up to Sagar's little like last minute. I've never noticed like that before. Look at Sagar. That woo! Like woo!
Congrats, man.
A little chime in there. That was great.
Glad I could still make it, man, with the old ball and chain at home. Hey, Tom, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you, dude. Hey, congrats.
Thanks.
Good to
so
see
much.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, Ryan, Jerry, Ryan.
Hey Jerry, nice to meet you.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations on the engagement.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
What's your last name?
It's Pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
Yeah, Jerry Pharaoh.
Jerry. Nice.
Nice.
All right, well, let's play some poker.
Let's do this.
So obviously right there, I'm getting the friend request, ignoring
Yeah,
it.
finish this hand.
Oh.
And so this is all just practical stuff. You know, making a custom Facebook page just to get the shot so I don't have to superimpose it later. So again, if you're not so good at Photoshop or editing and whatnot, make sure you're just making the practical prop or effect of what you need. And yeah, that woo woo woo. Let's talk a little bit about that first scene. So that was the first scene we ever shot. And it was a big day. Like, we had a whole, I don't know if we had a whole day just for that scene, but we shot that, and we might have done that in, like, the exterior of the office, because we shot this, like, over a weekend, and we kind of, like, said, okay, this took way too long. Like, we can be way more efficient with this. We don't have to, like, stretch it out like this. We can shoot multiple things in a weekend instead of one long thing like this. So it was very much a learning curve for all of this. So yeah, but that was the first scene we shot, and I remember, you know, it was great because we were all from Texas. We all did improv. We were all missing stage time because we were just in classes. And being on set, even though, and now we weren't doing apartment comedy, we were like on a set with real people. We had makeup artists, we had a crew of like DPs and camera operators and PAs and crafty people. Like, it was so big in the beginning. It was ridiculous, like way too big than it needed to be. But it felt so good because we were performing and everybody was loving it and laughing. Like Piper and Mal and Brian were there, and everyone was just laughing off screen. And it was just a great time right from the get-go. It just, we not like, oh, we knew he had magic from the start, and somebody had asked about like making stuff with your friends. It makes it so much easier. And we were very early on becoming friends. This is kind of what was the experience. So part of like what's so great about making things with your friends is that if you have friends that share passion with you, then it's just going to strengthen that friendship and bond you have because you're both doing something that you're giving your all for. So that's what we had here. Let's move on to Creepy Ryan and then me not accepting his friend request.
Good night, Jerry. It was nice to meet you.
Please, I have kids.
Tom is a reference to Tom from MySpace. This was very social media, like little bits like that right from the get-go. Yes, Tiki.
You didn't start without me.
Oh, so we also shot this scene. That's right. So we shot that first scene and this scene that day. People were crying, laughing at Ryan's crying.
How you doing, buddy?
The little screams. Like, Piper was right around that corner, just holding her mouth, dying of laughter.
Ryan, man.
Jerry,
When he does this.
is your internet down?
No, why?
Did you just not get on the internet this week, or
What?
I
get on the internet every day, just like everyone
those
else
jokes were
does.
all
Don't you
improvised.
dare compare
Ryan
yourself
was
to
doing a
everyone
new
else in the
joke
world.
every time. So Ryan again came from short form just like us.
What the
Lots
hell
of
are you
who's
talking
line, lots of making up jokes
You didn't accept Ryan's
off the top of
friend
your head. So he was just making silly stuff.
Are you serious?
And this
Do
is
you
the
not
crux
like
of the
Ryan?
whole
I like the
sketch
guy who's
is
fun.
like
Ryan disgust you?
some intense
No,
Alex.
he doesn't disgust me.
Then why would you not accept his friend request?
This is a ridiculous conversation. Do you realize that?
So I don't know. I think I kind of skipped over it, but Alex throws his cards twice just because of the different takes to use. So he throws them to make two different points. He picks them up and throws them again.
This is being blown way out of proportion.
Ready for some poker?
Oh, this is great from Sagar. This was, yeah, and again, this was the first thing we shot, so it's like almost like getting impressed by people, like Ryan coming up with those improv jokes, or doing the little off screen, or Alex giving them the water and sipping it. They were like best friends right out of high school.
Have a seat.
This is named Emma because she was named after Emma Leonard. Unfortunately, Piper could not do an Australian accent, so she did it as a British person. In honor, because Emma was originally going to play this. Piper was not even going to be in it.
Well,
So that's another fun fact. Piper would not have been in the first Just Giggle It video. What?
seems as though there have been some holdups.
Hold-ups. I'm sorry. Well, you called me in here today. I just assumed that you had everything ready to go.
Let's talk about that. That's just a great question. What's with that abrupt music cue transition after Sagar enters? So, that's just kind of like, again, punching the joke with the sound effect of the music. So Sagar comes in, and he's like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? And he just drops the beer he brought. So he doesn't even need to say anything. I think we did have takes of Sagar being like, what the hell is he doing here? But I don't think it was delivered with enough oomph as like just the face of like dropping the bag, you know. So I hope that kind of ties that up for you.
So, where are we on the loan process? I mean, it's
This
already
is
been 6 months.
magic, guys. This is Piper Henson and Joshua
They're already
Thomas's first
going
scene
on
together.
home, you know?
Well, Jared. Well, Mr. Farrow. It seems as though there have been some holdups.
Hold-ups. I'm sorry.
I would
You called
love
me
to
in here
color
today. I
correct
just
this
assumed that you
scene
had
today.
everything
This
ready
was
to
not
go.
colored whatsoever. Look how yellow that is.
Farrow.
Sorry.
On our end. We were just waiting on you.
We're ready to go. What? I'm sorry. What the hell is going on?
Well, we sent you all the paperwork that needed to be done, and it seems like you did complete it.
I did. I felt this. I have
Except
carpal tunnel.
for the mandatory social approbation.
So this is where I go into, like, we were taking our time with
What is
it.
a
Like, just
social
even setting up shots. Like, this was a whole setup to do this upcoming shot with the paper stack. You'll see it right now. God, that's so yellow. Come on, Josh. First sketch. It's okay. It's okay, buddy.
I wouldn't even be mad, but this cannot be about
Sorry,
face.
sir, but the bank has rules. If you'd like to restart the loan process, I've got all the necessary paperwork.
Right here, yeah. And just the rack
This is already
focus and,
taken
like,
6
changing
months.
the lighting.
I need it closed by next week on this
We would
house, or I'm
like
gonna lose
what I
it.
mean is, like, when
Please.
we started
Emma,
doing way more, it was
have
kind of
some
like, all right, what's the
compassion.
easiest way to shoot this to make it look as
I
good
don't
as
think you're
possible,
one to
but
talk when it comes to
let's
compassion.
move it along.
I always accept my friend requests.
And then bringing it right back. So again, like, this was very much more short filmy and way too long for what we were trying to do, and we wanted to kind of, in the beginning, before you have a fan base, everybody, all they tell you about sketch editing is quicker, snappier, punch it up, because they don't want to see you. They just want to get to the joke. They don't care about you. And I think that early on, doing a 10-minute thing as our first thing really goes to show that, my outlook on this was always to present us as actors and writers and performers, and it wasn't so much just about the sketch. Yes, we were doing comedy, we're doing sketch comedy, but we're, like, we're showcasing ourselves and we're trying to entertain you as ourselves. And, you know, Heightened is such a great example of that nowadays. And I love it. But even early on, just, you know, not just the sketch always didn't have to be like a 2-minute punchy, really quick thing. Loans for a house to get out of this apartment. Legit Ryan Quijano.
I'm so glad that I can come home to my loving fiance.
Me too.
And
You
Alex,
know.
I think I've mentioned this, but Alex was on the way out. She was supposed to be, I always thought that Alex was going to be what me and Piper turned out to be. Like, we had a podcast together. We did this. We did On the Way Out. We were meeting up for improv together. It was just very much like I thought she was going to be the comedy partner in life. And, you know, just goes to show you. You don't know, you know, what people's goals and priorities are. And she kind of had another path she wanted to take. She's doing amazing. She does a lot of commercials. She was in the Devour Super Bowl commercial, I believe.
No.
Exactly.
No.
Right on the money, Blue Dragon. This was poised when Alex Hensley.
This does not matter.
Like I said, it was supposed to be Emma Leonard and Alex Hensley were going to be in this sketch.
Okay, great. Well then.
And Piper
maybe
was set to be in
this
912
doesn't matter then,
and
huh? Maybe this doesn't
another one.
matter.
I forget.
Baby! It's just Facebook.
Oh, I love that. I was so happy, like, when I saw that back of, like, how that looked with the little snap to the door slamming on me. This is my first apartment in LA, guys. That little promenade area. And the first of many, many alleyways that we will shoot in. So this was a great after tag, which is almost like a sketch in itself. Kind of like breaking down the hypocrisy of social media of, like, what happens in real life is not what is posted. So, like, oh, I'm having a shitty time at this party, but I'm gonna post a selfie smiling with my friend, and that's kind of what this just illustrates all around. And then again cranks it up here. Noah Newmark. Let's look at these credits here. Sound, we had sound. Like I said, we had a full crew. We had our assistant camera and second assistant and a DP. So that was fun. We had to shoot all these actual, like, good time photos on here.
No.
And that makeup job, that fake dirt.
No. That's not how it happened. When was this?
Who was even taking these pictures?
Who was even taking these pictures?
It's a great bit, guys. It's cranking it up.
How is this even happening right now? Ugh! You know what? I'm not gonna let you control my life anymore.
Yeah, you're right. This was the Social
No,
Network
no.
trailer
I'm
song.
gonna stop
Maybe that.
you.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Good call, Tiki. Totally spaced on that.
I am deleting my Facebook. You hear me? You hear me, Jesse Eisenberg? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg? I'm deleting my Facebook. Are you sure? I'm goddamn sure.
That's a hard question, Blue Dragon. So Blue Dragon's asking if I would define the ending of the sketch of he's homeless and the credit scene is like an epilogue. I definitely would. Like, he ends up, like, homeless is definitely, we could have cut to Just Giggle It. Look at that. We get the search bar and everything here going on. I love it. All right, look at that. We got a light switch, everybody. We got a light switch there. So, that was Social Notwork, guys.
I love No, Jeff, I mean, I want to date Jackie.
Okay, Jackie. Where... Okay, apologies, guys. 1 second here.
912. I predict things.
You're right.
Hello, 912. I predict you have an emergency.
Yes, I'm saying someone broke into
I apologize about this, guys. Oh, there we go. Now I can interact with that and stop that. Okay. We had a rogue gag reel playing, everybody. All right. So that was Social Notwork, the first sketch we did. Yeah, it was just so huge. Piper did do a great British accent. I agree, great Gabe. We need to see more of Piper's British accent these days. So, if you have any questions about Social Notwork, I'd be happy to get to them. I'm actually really loving this because it allows me to stop and start. It allows me to kind of get through the sketch, and then we're done with the sketch and kind of move on to business. But yes, there is a gag reel. I think the gag reel goes up to Social Notwork. I'm not sure. But I don't know. The Ghost of Comedy Past. That was such a fun one to do, guys, and it just shows so many early signs of what we get into over the years, and kind of the early just glimmer of hope of what we would become. It's so nice to look back on that and just break it down. So again, the comedy in that sketch was basically how serious people take social media, which is still as prevalent today as it was back then, only people are not as on Facebook as much. So, take that for what you will. All right, guys, I wanted to we're really doing well on time here, 40 minutes in. I wanted to kind of start a new thing here, not only just talking about the sketches. Since we're creating comedy, I've been doing comedy for a cool decade plus, to break down the comedy that I'm watching for the week, since the last time I talked to you guys. And so I kind of wanted to do that right now because I saw some things that I really enjoyed and I wanted to break them down. And I know that Dragon and Tiki, you guys have done like your own podcast about them. I'd appreciate any feedback or thoughts or questions or discussion that you'd like to have. But I just wanted to touch a little bit on some of the comedy that I've been watching in the week. So this is kind of creating comedy, observing other people's comedy, not breaking down my own, essentially, which is always so fun. Gabe, I kind of answered that question, what made me start creating comedy with my friends. It was like, I was going to do it. I was always somebody who wanted to be an improviser, make something, make content, make comedy. So even when I had an audio recorder, I would be that kid who like forced his friends to do like Whose Line Is It Anyway games on my little Home Alone Talk Boy. But, and as I got a video camera, I started making short films and all that stuff. So it just was a natural progression. Like, it's just, you have your friends around you. Before you can go hold a casting, you're going to do a video and probably be like, hey, Brandon, can you come stand over here and pretend to, like, kill me with this knife? Great, you're the murderer in the horror movie. And that's just how it goes. And now sketch comedy is all set inside the home. Exactly. It's all in the home now. Just Giggle It at home. Monday. Don't miss it. All right, so let's talk real quick. Let's talk about the comedy I've been watching. The first thing I saw recently was Solar Opposites, which I know Dragon and Tiki had watched, and I had commented. I listened to y'all's podcast about it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, so you want to be an Imagineer. Let me tag you, Tiki, so... Boom. Go check out their channel. They do full in-depth podcast. That is not what this is going to be. I'm just kind of touch on things that I enjoyed about the show. Just kind of a quick overview of it. I'd love to hear any thoughts you guys have on it or questions that you would like me to open up. But basically, Solar Opposites is created by Justin Roiland. And you know what? I don't even know who he created it with. McMahon, I believe it is. Let me see. Mike McMahon is who he did it with. It is not Rick and Morty. It is kind of his side project on Hulu. But what I love so much about this show is that the side plot was better than the show. And my God, I've never written a play, but the closest I've come to of like mapping out a play and sketching out an outline and having it all kind of plotted out. The biggest hook and hitch to my play was that who you were following in the first act is not actually going to be the hero, and it would shift over the focus into the second act, basically. And that kind of happens in plays now, like Hamilton and whatnot. This was early on. But I was so freaking impressed with what this show did, because the show with these aliens is fine, and it has great. I'll say that I love the voice of the son. His voice is just the coolest voice ever. I don't even know who does it. I think you said it was the Goldbergs. But yes, and Dragon is saying it in the comments, the episode 7, The Wall, baby. my good God almighty, the wall. Like, I'm very curious to show someone just that episode alone and not have to watch the show with all the teases and build up to it, because I think that's what made it so satisfying, is like the little hints and the little like rabbit trail that you get like following it. And man, it's just, what I love so much about it is it's so ridiculous, but it takes a lot of the principles that I use in Just Giggle It. Sean Gamroni, is that who the teenage alien is? I'm not sure. I hope that's what you're saying, Dragon. Yeah, but it takes kind of like the principle of taking something seriously and giving it dignity and giving it stakes and making something sincere and genuine. And that's what made this episode so great. Basically, the premise is that these aliens, the teenagers, they shrink down adults. And this wall you're seeing right here in front of you is an entire, like, community of people. Oh, Alfred Molina was amazing. Oh, the Duke was awesome. I got pissed. I have a character named the Duke in something, and I wrote it a long time ago, and I think if I ever release it now, I have to change that, because that was crazy. Yumulak. Amazing. I can't recommend this enough. Watch the show, even if you watch it just to get to episode 7, because it takes these small people. Dragon, I think you kind of use like the Borrowers as a great example of it. Like the Borrowers, and because they're just miniature people, like they have mice that are like cows, and it kind of follows this whole subplot of taking. I don't want to spoil it. It's just okay. Basically, just taking everything I'm explaining it to you and treating it right and giving you a whole episode that you're just like, holy shit, what did I just watch? Now I got to go back to the normal show. That was so impressive. So I can't talk about that enough, and I can't recommend it enough. So I would tell all of you to go check it out. A tiered civilization like Snowpiercer, but a wall. Amazing description, Blue Dragon 5. Speaking of which, has you guys checked out Snowpiercer? I don't have TNT, so I'm kind of waiting until it's all out, and then I'm going to like binge it. But I'm really excited about Daveed Diggs, about the Snowpiercer show. I want to watch it. Curious. Let me know if you guys have seen it. So, in keeping with Solar Opposites, which was created by Justin Roiland, let's talk a little bit about Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty also came out recently. You see Rick behind me right here. It kind of finished up season 4 and did its whole thing. I loved it. What's my favorite sketch I ever did? Oof, let me think about that one while I'm talking some Rick and Morty, buddy. Let me see here. It's on my watch list. Yeah, mine too, Tiki, as far as Snowpiercer goes. So Rick and Morty, season 4.5. Let's see here. Where's my paper, guys? Here we go. Rick and Morty, 4.5. I was very impressed by the Vat of Acid episode. I thought I couldn't love it enough. You finished recapping season 4. Yeah, I heard some of them. I didn't hear all of your the recaps on it. But I was so impressed with the Vat of Acid because of that sequence, and watching behind the scenes to know that the director just threw that in there. The whole helicopter crash, it was just like an added in thing. Those moments, and again, that's like what I'm talking about. Like when these silly shows, when Disney, when Pixar, when you can trick your audience or like convince your audience to suspend their disbelief, like you're watching animation, and when you can like forget that for a minute, wow, like what an accomplishment. And these shows both accomplish that. Solar Opposites, Rick and Morty at points, even though it's the most meta show ever. There is also, I have to point out, my favorite line from Rick and Morty, I think came out in this latest batch of episodes, and it's Rick saying something along the lines of, I don't care if you're disappointed, I've seen what impresses you. And it's just along the lines of the best, like, yeah, if your taste is awful, I don't want you to cheer me, okay? A cool thing that I figured out, and I let you guys know on the last episode, I was watching the behind the scenes, and the writer of the finale was one of the coaches of myself and Piper's in UCB. Her name was Ann Lane. We would have her coach us all the time in improv. Even when me and Piper did like 2-person improv, we were called swingers. So we would like get someone from another team and perform with them and call ourselves swingers. Anyway, Ann Lane used to coach us. And the fact that she wrote the finale of Rick and Morty, Jeff Loveness is another guy who's one of the executive producers of Rick and Morty that I know personally, like, that I would go to his house because he would hold, my friend who's his roommate holds, like comedy festivals in their backyard all the time. Anyway, it's great. And it's amazing to be connected to that show because I can't recommend that show enough. I think it's one of the, it's got so much potential. It's going to keep going for years, and I hope you all are digging it and into it. I know you guys had your ups and downs on it. What was your favorite episode, Dragon and Tiki? I'm very curious, overall, out of that latest crop. You haven't seen the movie Snowpiercer? Oh, get on it, brother. I have watched Upload. Upload's amazing. I wasn't here to talk about Upload. I've seen Upload. Go watch Upload, guys. That was great. I was so impressed with Robbie Amell. I did not expect him to be as good as he was, Stephen Amell's brother. And the girl in it's great. And she's just adorable. Like, you fall in love with their little pixie cut and everything. Like, man, my goodness. Yeah, I remember I was hearing Greg Daniels on The Office Ladies hype it up a while back. I was ready to go when that show came out. So, yeah, great show to check out, Upload. So please do it, everybody. Yeah, so there's that Rick and Morty talk. That kind of does it for what I have to say. Aside from Rick and Morty, Solar Opposites, everything else I've been watching has not really been comedy. I've been kind of digging into the dramatic shows where I can, and also been working on a lot of stuff. Kind of mapping out the openings of the JGI at Homes, kind of having a little hand in everyone's sketches and getting those in so that we can assemble a show, and what I'm going to do for the show, kind of some surprises I have for you guys. Let's see here. I was a big fan of the Story Train episode, all the meta gags and the Brecht test, and the different series finales. Really wonderful stuff. Yeah, the premiere of 4.5 was great. I think that Rick and Morty just does a tremendous job of like, hey, we're back energy, like, let's go. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. Episode 9. Yeah, I was kind of like, meh. That was yeah. Oh. Guys, I cannot thank you all enough for jumping on here with me. This has been so fun. Please let me know if there's anything you guys would like me to watch or recommend me to talk about comedy-wise. Aside from the Harley Quinn series, I need to talk to Dragon and Tiki about that because I do want to recap that show. I want to do it separately in its own thing because it deserves that. I want to give it a proper watch, proper talk about. Thank you so much, Gabe. Thank you for loving the comedy. Thank you guys for being here. This is a difficult time. I can't say that enough. So being on these things, we hope that, you're here because, you're a fan of the channel, you're a fan of comedy, you're a fan of us, obviously. And we can't thank you enough from the bottom of our hearts. What's my stance on tragic comedy? It's like tragedy in comedy. I think it's, totally appropriate. Like, look at so many of our sketches. We're the darkest people ever. And if you're meaning something different, maybe elaborate, and I will comment more on that. Let's see here. Anyway, guys, please watch Just Giggle It at home on Monday. Check out So You Want to Be an Imagineer for the Just Giggle It grab bag on Tuesday nights, where they're covering sketches. Let them know what you want them to talk about. If you have any specifically that you want them to get to before maybe they're going to get to them. And aside from that, this has been Creating Comedy with Joshua Thomas. I love you all more than you can imagine. Checking out Space Force and Dead to Me. I'm going to check out Space Force. Like I said, I think Jenny Tran has a little cameo in that business, so I have to check it out, at least for her. I'm a huge Office fan, so I need to do that. Dude, yes, thank you so much, Tiki. We'll see you guys Monday. You guys have a safe weekend. And look out for all the content we're dropping. Please click on them, comment on them. It helps our algorithm. Anything you guys do is amongst the hardcore fans. And we'll see you Monday, okay?